One of these days I'll hit him. Honestly, he thinks because he throws a tantrum, I'm going to stay home comforting him and miss the rehearsal and let them all down. He thinks he only has to cry to get what he wants. I blame his mother. She gave him the kind of suffocating love makes him think the world revolves around him. But because he's too intelligent to believe that really, he gets into these paddies and depressions. And when he's in one of those, he'll do anything to draw attention to himself. That beetle on his face, you saw that. And all this stuff about Freddie. And yet it was Brian made me join the amateurs in the first place. He said I needed to get out more, have a rest from Jo. But she's no trouble. It's Brian. I don't know which is the greatest baby. Watching someone as limited as Jo over 10 years, I've begun to feel she's only one kind of cripple. Everybody's damaged in some way. There's a limit to what we can do. Brian, for instance, he goes so far then hits the ceiling, just can't fly any higher. Then he drops to the floor and we get self-pity again, despair. I'm sure though if he could go farther, he could be a marvellous painter. That's another reason I said I'd join these amateurs. The thought he'd be forced to go upstairs several nights a week and actually put paint on canvas. And even if he isn't any good, he seems to need some work he can be proud of. Something to take his mind off his jealousy of anyone or anything I take to. Relatives, friends, pets, even pot plants. I'm sure it's because they take up time he thinks I could be devoting to him. And Jo, most of all, poor love. Look, you mustn't assume I feel like this in the ordinary way. And even when I am a bit down, I shouldn't normally talk about it to a lot of complete strangers. But all this childish temper over Freddie, this showing off, it's more than I can stand. It makes me boil. Honestly. Wouldn't you feel the same? That's why I'm telling you all this. A lot of total strangers. But wouldn't it make you boil? Honestly. A grown man, jealous of poor Jo. I join in these jokes to please him. If it helps him live with her, I can't see the harm, can you? He hasn't any faith she's ever going to improve. Where I have, you see. I believe that even if she showed improvement, Bri wouldn't notice. He's dense about faith. Faith isn't believing in fairy tales. It's being in a receptive state of mind. I'm always on the lookout for some sign. One day when she was about a 12-month-old, I suppose, she was lying on the floor, kicking her legs about, and I was doing the flat. I'd made a little pile of 4 coloured bricks, plastic bricks on the rug near her head. I got on with my dusting, and when I looked again, I saw she'd knocked them down. I put the 4 bricks up again and this time watched her. First her eyes, normally moving about in all directions, must have glanced in passing at this bright tower. Then the arm that side began to show real signs of intention, and her fist started clenching and spreading with the effort. Her other arm held there like that, didn't move at all. You see the importance? She was using for the first time one arm instead of both. She'd seen something, touched it, and found that when she touched it, whatever it was changed, fell down. Now the bent arm began twitching toward the bricks. Must have taken, I should think, 10 minutes strenuous labour for her fingers to reach. Then her hand jerked back in spasm, and she pulled the tower down. I can't tell you what that was like, but you can imagine, can't you? Several times the hand very nearly touched, then got jerked back by spasm. And she'd try again. That was the best of it. She had a will. She had a mind of her own. As soon as Bri got home, I told him. I think he said something stupid, like, "That's great. Put her down for piano lessons." But when he tested her, putting piles of bricks all along the circle of her reach, both arms, and sometimes out of reach, so she had to stretch to get there, well, of course he saw it was true. It wasn't much to wait for. One arm movement completed, and even that wasn't sure. She'd fall asleep. The firelight would distract her. Sometimes the effort would bring on a fit. But more often than not, she'd manage. And a vegetable couldn't have done that.